The Economic Policy Institute recently released a new study that looked into the 350 largest companies in the United States and then compared CEO pay to the average worker. And unfortunately, what we're seeing is a widening gap between the pay. There is a huge disparity when you consider what CEOs get paid and what their workers get paid. Now, this is an ongoing issue, as we know, but the numbers are getting worse. So top executives saw their average annual pay surge to $18.9 million in 2017. That is the average, $18.9 million a year. That is what they're getting paid. Okay.
So first of all, I find this story outrageous. Let's move on to the next story, okay? Because I'm the CEO of this company and I won't be having any of this. Okay?
Oh my God.
Okay.
The idea of you getting paid $18 million.
It sounds so good.
It does, doesn't it?
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
But it's never gonna happen. Okay. So let's move on.
Sad day.
By the way, we are not in the top 350 largest companies, obviously.
One day, dare to dream.
Sure. All right, the 18% jump in chief executive pay came as wages for American workers remained essentially flat. Now, you should know that. If you watch the show, I've been yelling about this over and over again. Wages have increased about 2%, but then when you consider inflation, inflation has gone up more than 2%.
I want to be clear. Inflation has gone up 2% from 2009, not inflation, wages, 2009 to 2017, okay? Last year, 2017, it only went up 0.2%, 0.2%. So their wages went up 18%, the CEOs, while yours went up 0.2. With inflation, that's completely wiped out. You largely went backwards, okay? And between 2009 and 2017, this is stunning. So your wages went up 2%. Again, with inflation, that's actually nothing, okay? But look at the CEOs. Theirs jumped by $7.8 million, or by 72% in that same time period. 2% to 72%. Gee, I wonder who's getting all the economic advantages of this situation.
Okay, I gotta jump in. So keep in mind that these numbers are from 2009 to 2017. This is before Donald Trump and his goons could further weaken the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and Dodd-Frank, right? So this is a testament to how much of a failure Dodd-Frank was when it came to certain parts of our economy. Now look,
100%.
there were good things that came from Dodd-Frank, right? It did rein in some of the predatory lending that happened with the big banks. It didn't regulate the non-bank lenders, but nonetheless. But what we're seeing here is nothing was done to prevent the disparity between the rich and the poor. Nothing, okay? So let me give you more. The richest 5% of Americans have captured 74% of the wealth created in the country from 1983 to 2010. And also, right now, the top 1% are holding 40% of the nation's wealth. It's absolutely absurd. And every time I hear Trump talk about the economy is so strong, the economy is so strong. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not strong for the average worker.
So look at those time periods, and unlike Trump and the Republicans, who were fair. So did this just all happen under Trump? No way, no way. So during the so-called economic recovery, a huge percentage of the money went to the very, very top, and that happened under Obama from 2009 to 2017. That's under Obama largely, okay, and a little bit of Trump. So, and then the numbers that Anna just gave you, where the top 5% took 3/4 of all economic gains. That leaves the rest of us, 95% of people, with just 1/4 of the gains. Okay, when did that happen? That goes all the way back to 1983. So that was Reagan, it was the first Bush, it was Clinton, it was Bush, it was Obama, right? So it was all those people. That fact is for 83 to 2010, so that does not include Trump. So for all this time, what have they been doing? The donors have been rigging the system, lowering corporate taxes, lowering taxes on the rich, capital gains taxes lowered. That's almost completely for the rich. The percentage that you're paying in Social Security taxes as a percentage of your income is higher, and that's a regressive tax. That is a bigger share of the taxes today than it was back then, and the list goes on in the way that they have rigged the system so your wages stay flat and the executive pay continues to rise. And executive pay, by the way, is not the same as someone who founded a company. I emphasize this all the time because Because Republicans do this mythology of like, oh my God, they built this thing from scratch and they started in their garage, which we actually did do here. We started in my living room, 16 years ago. But that's not these guys.
Right.
These are people who are running companies. They're largely political actors who climbed the bureaucracy of their own companies. They didn't found the companies, they're just executives. So back in the day, they actually used to get 20 to 1 of the average American worker. Anna's got some stats for you, I'm sure. So now 20 to 1's pretty high already, right? Now it's 312 to 1, right? Now, the reason why 20 to 1 could make sense is, okay, look, you want to reward the executive if he's doing a good job, and if the company's going up, I get it, we get it, right? It's not like the CEO is gonna make the same thing as the guy you just hired, right? That makes sense. But 312 to 1, and oftentimes they get paid even if the stock goes down.
Right.
So where's the justice in that? No, a lot of this, there's a lot of factors. One of them is, a lot of them get to greatly influence, to say the least, who's on their board. And their board is the one that authorizes their pay. And over 90% of boards don't even question the pay of the CEO. Nice little thing they got set up. That's a racket. And then they take money and they pay off politicians who let them get away with that.
Yep.
And one of the people screwed, by the way, a set of people screwed, not just the American taxpayer, but the people who actually own the companies. So these Republicans are crony capitalists, they're not real capitalists. The people who own the companies are the shareholders. Now, there's proposals to say shareholders should have more say in how much the CEO gets paid. Have you ever heard anything more logical in your life? The owners of the company having say over how much the CEO is paid. Republicans say no. Why? Because the shareholders aren't giving them the political donations, the executives are. They've set up a perfect little system where they go round and round and pass the money to each other, and we get nothing. So understand that that's how the system was rigged.
Right, and these numbers take into account, what mostly happened under the Obama administration. But just keep in mind that what Trump has done with his tax policy will further worsen this issue, because what we're seeing is, the record stock buybacks, just so these executives can further enrich themselves and make more money. So the numbers are gonna get worse. But let me tell you how things were in the past, where we stand now, and then I wanna do just a quick comparison between the United States and other countries. Okay, so the gap between CEO pay and worker pay was larger in 2007, reaching a ratio of 344 to 1 in 2000 and 327 to 1 in 2007. Now, let's compare that to 2017, where it was 312 to 1. So we're getting back up there. And again, it's a testament to how much of a failure Dodd-Frank was in reining in executive pay. Now, if you compare the United States to other countries, you'll see a pretty stark difference. The CEO worker pay ratio is about 94 to 1 in the United Kingdom, 91 to 1 in France, 71 to 1 in the Netherlands, and I really want to focus on this, 40 to 1 in Sweden, which is why you see so much anti-socialism propaganda in the media. Okay, the corporate-owned media, they hate. I mean, by the way, 40 to 1, that's you're still getting paid pretty well, dude. Like, you're doing well. As an executive, you're still doing well. You're getting paid a lot more than the average worker. But no, in the United States, we got to have it like 400 to 1.
Yeah, in America, the median income is a little over $50,000. So if you're getting 40 to 1, you get about $2 million a year. But that's not enough. In America, you got to rig the system to get it more and more. But it wasn't always that way in this country. They say make America great again. They talk about the golden years like in the 1960s. Maybe it was golden because the Civil Rights Act hasn't passed yet, right? In the early 60s. So, but you want to talk about golden years, in 1965, we were more socialist than Sweden. Our CEO to average worker pay was 20 to 1, as I was mentioning earlier. That's twice as good as Sweden, which is at 40 to 1 now. By the way, Sweden's economy, awesome. So what happened? I thought socialism was supposed to ruin things. If the executives don't make all of the money, I thought it was supposed to destroy countries. Sweden is not only in great shape, they usually rank it near the very, very top in happiness measurements across the world. And the list goes on and on here, but I want to, I'll give you one more fact and then one more observation, which is that between 1979 and 2005, 60% of the expansion in incomes went to the top 1%. Okay, so as the economy is expanding, back in the day during the 1938 to about 1978, we're getting wages that go up with productivity. So that's how it's supposed to work. That actually, from an economic standpoint, was the golden years. Okay, but afterwards, almost all the gains go to the top 1%. That's not an accident. If you set the rules, you get to set them in your favor. How do you set the rules? If you buy off the politicians. And in this case, campaign donations and independent expenditures are now legal. Bribery is legal in America. So no one should be surprised by this. Now, a note of caution. So Anna pointed out the last time the CEO pay was this high was 2000. What happened in 2000? Oh, the tech bubble burst and the market crashed. And then in 2007, what happened in 2007? Oh, right, the housing bubble popped and the market crashed. This is clearly overinflated. And part of the reason the CEO pay is rising so much is because the stock market's rising. But why is it rising? Not because the companies are doing much better. It's because they're doing stock buybacks. By the way, this is even before the Trump tax cuts. Next year, this number is going to be monstrous. So tick, 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 tick. If history is any guide, well, that crash is a coming.
Yep.
And when it does, by the way, what'll they say? Well, I mean, the bankers needed a bailout. The poor executives, what are you gonna do, not pay their bonuses? But you'll get unemployed, and all of that will crash right on top of your head. What do? They privatize the gains, and they socialize the losses. So tick, 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 on those losses explode on your head. 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.